For being a guest on a talk show, and I'm horrible at remembering names, so I apologize for butchering yours.
I will do it. My name is Sandra Risser. See how easy that is?
Well, it's easy for you. You don't have a learning disability.
It depends what you consider a learning disability.
Like I said, no disrespect. I'm a good person. It's just, it's usually I have this thing on my phone. For people at home can't see it, it's off, but I have this thing on my phone where you type the person's name in, and it pronounces it. So I came out Riser. So it's different spellings.
I really thought, because I was married before, and at that time my husband's last name was Van Epps, and would go out to dinner and they'd call the Epps party, or the Epps with T's, or they'd call him Van, and I thought, okay, I'm marrying a Risser. This is easy. And still 90% of the people mispronounce my name. So I've given up. Do not even think about it.
Now, for the whole point of Uncensored, the whole point is about me making a statement, and it's also my way of making a new friend. But the whole point is to show people that even if we were in disability, and you picked that up by me butchering your name, but the whole point was a learning disability, that I can still amount to something, and at the same time, I'm capable of turning myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any type of learning disability or disabilities in general. But you should never give up, and you should prove to people you can still amount to something and enjoy life.
I can't agree with anything more, since I sometimes talk on the subject of it's never too late, and that you can do anything you want to do. It may take longer, but so what? And I just read about the guy on Dancing with the Stars. I don't watch the show.
I don't either.
Okay, he had in Afghanistan a leg and an arm blown off. And when they asked him to do Dancing with the Stars, he said, in his mind, he figured he'd maybe get on about 3 shows before he was kicked off. Well, so far, he is one of the favorites. And he's dancing with a prosthetic leg, and he dances with his shirt off in a lot of things. And if he's not proof you can do anything if you set your mind to it, I don't know what is.
No, he's a perfect example of it.
Yeah, I think so. I don't have a learning disability, and I don't know if you can see or not. I shake. I've learned to live with it. I've had the tremors going on 20 years now. And they're not getting any worse. It's not Parkinson's. They don't know what causes it. Oh, my hands shake. It's interesting when I try to eat soup. Never carry a coffee cup.
Well, just be happy we're not in the same place. I'll probably make your hands shake for multiple reasons.
Well, as I'm fond of saying, my hands shake and my husband likes it. Your audience doesn't know. I am a comedian, so let them know.
Now, well, on the subject, like I said, it's a half hour, 45 minutes every time. Say anything you want, and And I'm been gonna ask you a lot of easy questions. Then I'm gonna pass the show over to you and put you in the driver's seat. Actually, let's try something a little different. I'm gonna put you in the driver's seat first off. Usually I ask the questions, but I like to try something different. What would you like to talk about?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot now. I have absolutely no clue. I thought you were going to, I would just, as a matter of fact, tomorrow I am a Toastmaster. And tomorrow, because I didn't prepare a speech, I'm giving a speech about talking about nothing. And the whole thing is going to be impromptu, and how hard it is to talk about nothing. Because as soon as you start talking about anything, then you're talking about something.
That's true.
So, that's kind of it. So, go ahead, ask your questions.
Right, like I said, it's normal conversation. But first, starting off, how did you become a comedian? Number one. And number two, who influenced you?
I didn't get the last one. I'm also hard of hearing.
Not a problem. I said, how did you become a comedian? And who influenced you?
Oh, who influenced me? Haha. Depends for what. I came about being a comedian kind of a silly way. When I was 48, I took up competitive bodybuilding, amateur. Got 4 second place trophies, never got first, never got third, all second place, kind of weird. And I learned I like being on stage in the center of attention. So from there, I kind of went into acting. I did community theater. And periodically, I had this thing in my mind, and I would try comedy. And I was horrible. I really was. I didn't know it at the time, but I was horrible. And eventually, I went actually and took some classes, and then started going to open mics. And I can't say, as far as my style, I try not to watch too many comics. I watch men more than women. I don't want to try to be somebody. I just want to be me. And I think that's it. Yeah. So I've been doing comedy about 11 years now.
Actually, when I think of comedy, people say to me, my brother said to me, I said, I constantly make jokes. And he says to me, you're funnier than tits on a ball. Or he says, that was the worst joke. He took this from a TV show and now he uses it. Basically, there's a joke in, do you ever see the cartoon Futurama? Or ever hear of Futurama? There's a robot, Calculon, who says to the robot Bender, that acting was so terrible, I think it gave me cancer. So he says to me, that joke was so horrible, I thought it gave me cancer. It's very dry and sarcastic.
Well, there was one comic in San Francisco. His name is Malcolm Grissom. And he too has learning disability. When he was young, he got, I think it's pronounced Ray's disease, R-E-Y-E-S, very high fever, and, affected him. But he's becoming a wonderful comedian. I've known him almost since I started comedy, and we've kind of watched each other grow in it. Yeah. So you never know. This may lead to you becoming a comedian.
Yeah, I hope so. There's a actor, trying to think of what his real name is, but on the TV show, Steve McGarrett, from Hawaii Five-0. And I don't know if it's true or not, but supposedly he has a disability. I heard that somewhere. I don't know if it's true or not.
We could probably, if we weren't on our computers, Google it and find out. These aren't like the old days where you can make up facts. You know, you have to be sure what you say, because whatever you say, somebody's going to Google it and go, no. But a lot of actors are dyslexic or shy people, or a lot of comics are ADHD,
right.
Bipolar, you name it. That's why they go into comedy in the first place. It's less expensive than therapy.
It's true. When I think of comedy, like you said, you shouldn't try to be someone. You should be yourself. But I try to mirror myself more like after George Carlin, as in, I don't have a filter. Well, this is before George Carlin. I know who he was. I don't have a filter. Something pops in my head, I just say it. Better to get it out and just move on. But, you know, I tell the truth. I tell how it is. Yeah, but George Carlin had a big influence on that in my life. And, what about you? Who, if you say like George Carlin, Dennis Leary,
I love George Carlin. Truthfully, I like Bill Cosby. Yeah, I'm beginning to think the rumors are true, but it doesn't take away from what he brought to the craft.
Right.
Yeah, he was one of the best, and still is one of the best storytellers. Obviously, Lucille Ball is, you know, fabulous. There have just been so many over the years. I probably know the older comedians more because I watched those growing up. I'm trying to think of modern ones that I watch.
But the modern ones that I would think of is Gabriel Iglesias. I'm not fat, I'm fluffy.
No, don't know that.
Well, I would recommend him. He's really funny. What would be the other one? Jeff Dunham's not bad.
Okay.
Bill Angerfall.
Yeah, see, I don't know any of them. Because, as I said, I really don't watch it. You know, of course, I know C.K. Lewis.
Right.
You know, there are certain names, and I always forget his name, but I think the one who now does Family Feud is very funny. I'm bad at names, too. My father, and I say I think after it naturally, so is my father bad at remembering names. And I remember one time he came home and he kept talking to my mother about Mr. Noodleson. And she had no clue who he was talking about. But the name was Mr. Nelson. So, you know, some people are good at it and some aren't. I have met people that you meet once, you introduce yourself, blah, blah, and then you meet 3 years later and they remember your name. I'm lucky if I remember their face.
Yeah, I'm the same way, you know. There's this one, it wasn't in a good way, but I would like someone to be like, who I interviewed, like, hey, I remember you, or if we met in person, hey, I remember that great interview we did. But I was doing don't ask me why, but it was a good idea at the time. I started my talk show and I was doing all audio seasons. And because, the whole point of my talk show is I have ADD, ADHD, I have social anxiety and panic attacks, and this helps me get over that. That's like therapy for myself. And when I started my talk show, it was a horrible, horrible idea. That it wasn't horrible that I was doing the talk show. It was horrible that the fact I was doing it the wrong way. And doing it like this, now it makes me feel better. And there's a positive to this story, but I'm talking about the negative first. Came across this one girl, some comedian, I really don't know what her name is. My friend was on the airplane with her, and she's like, I have no idea how this brought up, and if I hesitate, I apologize. But I have no idea how this came up, and she's like, I got this strange email from someone named KeithAndrew, and he's talking about me, about inviting me to be on his talk show. And my friend said, taking a guess, is the show name Uncensored? Oh my god, that's it. Did you get it? She didn't like it. She asked me how I got her number, and LinkedIn has this thing where you can add all your LinkedIn contacts to your phone. And some depends on the person. The email will act like a phone number. So I sent her a message via email, and she asked me how I got her number. I said, I don't have your number. If I did, we would be talking on the phone. She called me a liar, and my friend happened to be in the same spot, and it's kind of like, well, in a way, it's good she remembered me, but I kind of wish it was on a positive note. But I wouldn't, but going to the positive side, I wish I did this 10 years ago when I was in high school. When I was in high school, 2002, because this really helped me introduce myself. If you met me to about 10, 11 years ago, you would say I'm not the same person, and it's true. I had a lot of high school bullshit happen, but this really helped me introduce myself and walk up to people, give me the courage to overcome social anxiety and panic attacks and whatever labels people want to say. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Uncensored. I'm your host, Keith Andrew, along here with Ms. Sandra, and I just want to say thank you for sticking with us. And we left off where I was going to tell you I guess it's not really a funny story. Well, you can laugh at it because it's a sick kind of way. But dealing with all the drama in my high school, I was saying before we took a quick commercial break, is I used to reenact all the WWF, WCW wrestling moves. And I miss that. That was me and my brother's bonding time. He used to use me as a rag doll. But it was fun because it was our quality time. When he was in middle school, what was it? So when he was in middle school, he got a splinter in his finger. And this nurse, at the time, said she had this bright idea that said, oh, I can get it out. Instead, she broke the splinter in two parts. One she got out, and she jammed so deep in his finger that his finger started to lose circulation. They really looked like they had to cut the finger off. And my mom came in. What happened to his finger? We don't know. He came in like that. That's not what happened. He tried to remove it. No, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So, took my brother to the pediatrics, and the doctor says, what kind of idiot did this to your son? My mom told her name. The guy, I kid you not, the guy dropped his papers and said, Jesus Christ, if that bitch is still teaching? Unbelievable.
No.
Yeah, my mom reported her. She wanted her fired or recommended. And they said, no, we will recommend her. This person had a vendetta against my mother. She wanted to get back at her at any, and I mean this, any way possible. So when she found out I had a learning disability, and I liked wink, reenacting wrestling moves, that was her opportunity to open a fake case of child abuse.
No.
And I admit, yeah, sometimes I did get hit when I was disrespectful and I was out of control, but I did deserve it. But was it one of those things where I used to get whacked or beaten up just for the hell of it? No. Only when I was disrespectful, I was disciplined. And I used to play with my wrestling toys. And I used to play too close to my face. And so every time I banged the toys together, it bounced back into my face. Or I would get, I used to jump off the bed onto the carpet, and I used to get carpet burns.
Yeah.
And so, this woman used it as an excuse to get back at my mother, to open a fake case of child abuse. And, that really, I would say, didn't actually kill my family, but it, in other words, almost killed my family, because I left a dark cloud on everything, and that was a dark time. But that's how stupid the town is, because if you're not a wink in person, if you're not a jock or a guy who does sports, half of the cars in the parking lot from the school you would think belongs to the teachers. It actually belongs to the students. So if you're not an in-person, if you didn't have money, they treated you like crap. But if you weren't an in-person, you got to do whatever you want, and everyone basically kissed your ass. So, yeah, but like you were saying, in this generation, if that happened now, things would have been a lot worse. But, you know, going back to the, when your generation, you know, there's people, I'll give you a perfect example. My dad used to get beat up by his parents. Because, you know, that, not saying, you know, child abuse, that's saying that, one, it was a different time, and two, that's what you do to your kids to discipline them if they're disrespectful. I'm not saying that they beat him just because they didn't have anything better to do. I'm saying if your kid's disrespectful, and I'd say the same thing if I had a kid and he was disrespectful, I'd smack the shit out of him. You know, you gotta be disrespectful to me, to you. We're gonna teach you some respect. But that's...
I think, yeah, but I think it is that parents today are not teaching respect.
Yes.
That started in about the 1970s when you couldn't stifle little Johnny's creativity by telling him no.
Yes.
It was kind of like you let the child do what he wants, and then you go, no, you know you shouldn't be doing that. We've talked about this before. No. I mean, I was never spanked. But my parents instilled in me, you will do what we say.
Right.
And you can do that. And I never knew what would happen if I didn't obey them. I just wasn't going to take a chance. But yes, that is one of the problems, I think, in society today. And ethics are not taught. Everybody's out, I've got to get mine before somebody else gets it. Not that there aren't still good people. There are a lot of still good people.
Right.
But on the whole, too many people are just looking out for number one. And, yeah. But that's old people talking.
No, I feel the same way, and I tell my parents I hate this generation because let's compare generations here and what we did when we were kids. So when I grew up, I took a shower, had lunch, played with my toys, video games, went outside, spent time with my family. Or sometimes, yeah, I had a Power Mac, one of those old computers with a floppy disk. I didn't care about hanging out with my friends or watching TV or doing all this stuff. And when you were a kid, what did you used to do when you were a kid?
We went out to play. Period. Or we had friends over to play. Because we didn't have television. At night, sometimes the family would sit around and play board games. Or would sit around the radio and listen to The Shadow Knows, Lamont Cranston. But we could be gone from morning till night. It didn't matter. And nobody worried about us. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have to check in. It's just gotten tougher and tougher to be a kid. And if I had kids, they wouldn't be sitting around playing video games either. Yes, they could have some, but they're going to be out and they're going to play.
Right. No, absolutely.
Outside. But see, you grew up not in a large town either. It's harder to do that in a large city. There are no yards there, the parks are dangerous places. Thank goodness I don't know the answer. I'd have to give it to somebody.
The one thing about this town I would say, because I've been here for 27 years and my parents moved in, the house was built in 86, but we moved in 87. So for the whole year the house is set here vacant. But the one thing, the whole point of it I brought up is the whole point of this town, it's great to raise a family, because at the time we had a bowling alley, we had a camp, there's a lake down the road you can go fishing. 27 years later, no bowling alley. Yes, there's still a lake, but it's the type of town where I'm trying to find the words for it. It's the type of town where it's perfect when you're going out with someone, if you're engaged and you want to raise a family. Once your kids are full grown, you want to leave because there's nothing here for young people.
Yeah, I understand that because my hometown is Sioux City, Iowa, and then it's the same way. The town is shrinking instead of growing. Yeah, and it has since Well, that's because I didn't go back to history. I think we're getting close to our time here, aren't we?
Oh yeah, I know I asked you in the beginning, but how many years have you been acting? And what was the big, not acting, being a comedian. And what was the biggest crowd you ever performed in front of?
I've been a comedian going on 11 years, and the biggest crowd was probably a couple hundred. Yeah. Haven't done it on, 600-seater auditorium yet. Waiting for that.
One day.
One day. As I'm fond of saying, I don't think of myself as old. I'm used. I'm like a classic car, well maintained, only driven on the weekends, and when you start me up, I backfire. That's probably my legacy.
I say that to my dad, that, you're never too old. Age is just a number. I give you a perfect example. I said, what about for a perfect example, the shirt you're wearing? It's a great shirt, by the way. But I would say to my dad, Would you wear something like that? No, I'm too old. It's like you're never too old to wear what you want. You can wear a shirt like you're wearing. You're a Batman fan. Wear a Batman shirt. Wear a Superman shirt. Yeah, well, when you become my age, and he's the same age as you. Actually, I think you're older than him. No
I
disrespect.
was going to say your father should be younger than me.
He was born in 1948.
Yeah, he's definitely younger. 1941.
Well,
Not that much younger, but he's still young.
right. But like I said, it's just a number. As long as you're passionate, and you're a perfect example of that. You're acting, I keep saying acting, I'm sorry. Well, acting and comedian's the same thing. You're doing what you love. That's all that matters. And don't label yourself. And that same thing with me. I have a learning disability. I'm doing what I love and what I'm passionate about. And that's what you should do. Doesn't really matter about anything else.
Amen to that.
Now,
I think that's it. Thank you.
wrapping up, do you have anything you want to say to your fans and listeners?
Come see me on YouTube. YouTube, just look up Sandra